Welcome to the Season 6 premiere of AfterMat. I'm your host, the People's Champ Cow, and alongside me, as always, I have my tag team partner, the Glamours and Delisha, and our other stable mate, Rose, is here as well. Hello, how are you? Well, so far so good right now, so we'll see, and we don't mind it, so... Tonight we're starting out Season 6 with Wrestlemania Backlash. As you guys know, Wrestlemania usually ends our AfterMat season, and then the new season starts with whatever pay-per-view follows it, and the past 2 years it's been called Wrestlemania Backlash, which is more of an appropriate name than Backlash because it seems like the pay-per-view itself is just a regurgitation of WrestleMania matches to give the other person a win, usually in most cases, or, you know, I don't know what else they could do it for other than, like, why have another pay-per-view? Give it some time to build up after WrestleMania for a bigger pay-per-view than WrestleMania Backlash to have recap or like regurgitated matches. Oh, I don't know. What do you think, Alicia, about having like matches out of the same?
I guess that they lead into that so much that I guess like the WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view makes sense. It's a little boring on my to me because it's just like, oh, we're just gonna see the same matches, then what was the point of the WrestleMania match? Was supposed to be a big, the big payoff. I feel like the only one that was like kind of new-ish was the Madcap and Corbin, and I guess the Bloodline versus RK Bro and McIntyre, because those are just like they yeah, because they those weren't really those weren't matches we had at WrestleMania. They're just like continuous storylines that happened pre and post Mania as well. So, or building storylines that happened pre and post. So I guess that's a small detail. I mean, a small positive. while the other three were just rehashing of, like you said, that same said matches.
Yeah, I think actually last year, or last season for us, like I don't think WrestleMania Backlash was that many recap matches. Maybe a few, like one or two. But this time, like, I was like, wait, all three of my matches are recap matches, and then you're like, oh, one of mine is as well. And I guess you could kind of say the Bloodline one is sort of, but not really. So yeah, so of the 6 matches, four of them were things. That's 66% of the card is WrestleMania recap. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully this trend doesn't continue. Going in, like, I thought, I'm like, oh wow, this is gonna be pretty good. Like, I haven't watched wrestling since WrestleMania. So I mean, I've been watching like some of Cody Rhodes' promos and stuff like that, and then obviously like Edge's promos. But other than that, I really haven't. I've been away from wrestling for a while. So I don't really know much what's going on. I didn't know why things were going on. I knew like certain things were happening. Like for example, like like for the main event, like it was supposed to be. I felt like whoever gets the pin or something gets all the belts or something like that. I forgot. It was something weird, some stipulation, but then all of a sudden, like, they didn't have it last night, so, like, I don't know. It was just a lot of weird stuff going on, because I've been out of the loop a little bit.
We were supposed to just get a standard tag team match to unify the belts, and then, like, 2 weeks ago, they were like, nah, forget that.
Yeah,
I don't really know what's going on with that.
What I heard was people weren't really interested in the Drew Roman Reigns like match, so that's why they were like cutting that out of having it like as a one-on-one match, or they were going to save it for something bigger like SummerSlam or something like that. But people aren't really interested in how that's going. But that's not here. They're
kept it Roman versus Schinsky, even though we know Roman will still win. That's still interesting match to be done. I mean, I know we're gonna get to it eventually. I don't know if it's gonna be like a SmackDown match or a pay-per-view match, because they did reiterate that last Friday that is still a part of the plan at some point. We don't know when. So yeah, I honestly right now would have thought that would have been the more interesting matchup. But we all knew Drew was going for that title at some point, so.
Yeah, so because since he wasn't able to fight Bobby Lashley anymore, even though Bobby Lashley's not champion, but you know what I mean. All right, so let's start out with the first match of the evening, which is a surprise to see as the first match. But I guess if you want to start big, you go with this match, and there's one of the first of the recap matches from WrestleMania, or rehash matches from WrestleMania, featuring Cody Rhodes against the visionary Seth Rollins. I don't like to call him Seth, the other name, because I just think it's a stupid name. But anyway. This was actually like a very well wrestled match, as we expected from the two of them, and it didn't let down anything from WrestleMania. It might have had less of a pop because all the things that were like all the fanfare from Cody's return was at WrestleMania, and seeing him wrestle again in a WWE ring was huge. But this didn't really let up from what we saw there either. It was a good match. But this time, technically Seth Rollins was prepared for his opponent, so it was basically a really good back and forth, like natural old school wrestling match with like arm drags and takedowns and drop kicks and suplex and stuff like that. And a lot of this time they're kind of showing off how Seth Rollins was prepared this time around, because he scouted a lot of Cody Rhodes' moves and was able to counter them and such like that. I think Rhodes dominated a little bit early, and then Rollins was able to counter it and send him to the outside. Not yet. They didn't go to the outside. Rhodes hit a disaster kick earlier on and got a 2 count, but then as he went for another disaster kick, Rollins threw Rhodes over the top. That's when they went to the outside and battled on the outside for a little bit. Then Rollins threw Rhodes to the barricade and onto the announcer's table, and then started working on Rhodes, and you could really see the scarring on Rhodes' body and stuff like that. He really like injures well, I guess, for camera, if you want to look at it that way. Then Cody Rhodes came back by the flurry of fists, and then hit this crazy nice superplex off the second rope, or was it off the top? Whatever it was nice because he held Seth Rollins up in the air, shades of what he did against Rey Mysterio years ago prior to him leaving. Then they started battling out in the middle of the ring, and Cody went for a Cody cutter, got another 2 count. Rollins then came back with some super kicks and then a Falcon Arrow, and as Rhodes went for another disaster kick, this was a beautiful moment when Seth caught him and hit a buckle bomb, which I still don't like that move because of what happened with Sting, and And then I guess what happened with Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber, sort of, because there's a buckle bomb that did that. I just don't really like that move. Maybe you should get rid of that. It's very dangerous in my opinion. But anyway, after the buckle bomb, Seth hit a frog splash, but Cody got out. Then Rhodes went to the top rope and went for, I guess, a moonsault or whatever it was. And, no, not a moonsault. He just went up to the top rope. And maybe he's going for a flying drop kick or something like that. But Rollins jumped up to the top or ran up to the top or up the ropes and went for a superplex. But he did a superplex and then he tried to roll it over into his patented Falcon Arrow. But Cody actually reversed that into a crossroads, but didn't get the pin or anything like that. Then I think Rhodes went for a pedigree, but Rollins was able to counter that and put Rhodes into a went for a moonsault. Rollins was able to counter that and catch Rhodes into a pedigree. Then they kept just battling back and forth. Then Rollins kind of went below the belt because he went after doing like the bionic elbow combo, like the jab, the jab, the jab, then into a bionic elbow. But as Rollins went for the bionic elbow, Cody caught that into another crossroads. Rollins escaped from that. He went for I guess it was a curb stomp or a kick, and I think he actually hit the kick on Rhodes and then went to roll him up, but he grabbed the tights, but then Cody reversed that and grabbed the tights on Rollins. They got the 1-2-3, thus gaining another victory, so it's not tied 1-1 anymore. Or I guess since his return, because they did have matches prior to Cody Rhodes leaving. But yeah, so I mean, I wasn't really surprised to see Rhodes win because, he's got to keep his momentum. Normally what they do is they give and take in their business, like one wins, one loses. But with Rollins losing, he's not losing any momentum or any steam in his character. So I think it's a smart move having Rhodes win because you want him to carry the momentum and build up his character while he's fresh off a return, and then seeing how maybe he stacks up to fight for the championship eventually. Delisha, your thoughts?
I thought it was a pretty solid match. I didn't think we were going to get anything but a good match between these two just because they're such good workers. I will say I think I'm about to enjoy the build-up of these two more than the actual match, as weird as that may sound. I don't know, just Seth Rollins' antics leading these last couple of weeks leading up to this match has just been fun. And like I said, the match is pretty good, but it's pretty much what I expected, especially given what we got at WrestleMania. I didn't expect anything different during this match. I was a little surprised that he did get the win here. I just thought Seth would have done something nefarious to win, to be like, "Ha, see, I can beat you when I'm prepared" or whatever. But no, that was pleasantly surprising that they let Cody get to 2-0 and that he legit made a point of saying that to Rollins at the end there. So I don't know if this feud is over. I guess watching Raw later tonight would tell. But would you want to see one more match between these two for them to keep going, or do you want this to be over and done with?
I think
both to go the separate way.
I think next time they fight, one of them is going to have a championship. That's what I think is going to happen. And if it's Rollins that has a championship, I think Rhodes is going to go after it. And he's like, well, I've already beaten you twice, so third time is going to be no problem. But I think this is when Rollins will get the one up, and it'll still have Cody Rhodes chasing for the championship, because that's just how his character has been for a while, and I think he won't win it till WrestleMania. So okay,
not like me.
Welcome Halo, thank you for the subscription. I think we could see Rollins beating Rhodes for the championship, maybe at SummerSlam. Retaining his championship. If he ends up getting the championship somehow off of Roman Reigns, he could successfully defend it against Rhodes finally, or finally beat him by successfully defending his champ, and at the same time successfully defending his championship, and then losing it to Rhodes at the biggest stage of them all. Because just like how Rock and Cena fought each other at WrestleMania one year when I went, the year prior to that I went, and there's no title match, and then they fought again. Because how do you one up a match that was already cool to have one of them having a championship? And that's what they could do next year at WrestleMania. Have one of them as a champion. And that way it takes the belt off of Roman, and Roman is free to face Rock in a non-title match, because you don't want to see The Rock. I mean, I would want to see The Rock as champion, but, with his schedule, he can't do anything besides, maybe grab a bite to eat for 5 seconds kind of thing. So I feel like that it perfectly works the storyline now. I mean, we're looking a year in advance, but that's what I can see happening. Any other thoughts, Alicia, before I move on to the next match?
Honestly, Rollins is always up and down. Always kind of even if he's down, quote unquote, the mid card, he's always upper echelon mid card. So it's always just a back and forth down. That's why it's so interesting to see if they will have to continue on with Cody or if they expect to move on. But we do have the pay-per-view, almost I guess the gimmick where we're heavy with the gate so it's pretty interesting to see how that works out.
All right. The next match is another WrestleMania rehash, and it is Bobby Lashley this time against Almost, with MVP in Almost's corner. Now, can I tell you, I was not looking forward to this match at WrestleMania. So do you think I was looking forward to this match at WrestleMania Backlash? Hell no. But it happened. I really didn't pay attention much to this match, and now they're calling Omos the Nigerian Giant, I guess. I don't know when that started. But Bobby Lashley immediately went after Omos, started hammering with with chops and punches, but Lashley obviously got distracted because whenever MVP's outside the ring, he's the ultimate distraction. Go back to WrestleMania 37, was it? Whatever. I guess that was last year's WrestleMania 37, when Drew got distracted by MVP, who was screaming out to Bobby Lashley, not even to Drew McIntyre. So apparently, MVP is the biggest distraction in WWE. So Lashley got distracted, and then he got caught a big boot from Omos, and then Omos started his 4 moves that he normally does. The scream and put his arms up, the double-handed choke slam, a bunch of boots and punches, and it's really not that great of a thing. I think Omos sent Lashley to the floor, and then face first into a turnbuckle, and another boot. I think then Bobby went for a sleeper hold. Omos was able to take him off of that. And then Lashley continued to punch away at Omos, which caught Omos off guard. He tripped and fell and landed on the ropes and got tied up. This allowed Bobby Lashley to continue to punch on Omos until MVP tried to get him out of the ropes using his cane. I think that caused Lashley to chase after MVP. As Lashley chasing MVP, Omos grabs Lashley from the inside the ring and pulls him in. So Omos is inside the ring, puts a claw into Bobby Lashley's outside the ring and pulls him into the ring. I think Lashley starts going for Omos's knees and then tries to put the Hurt Lock on Omos. But he wasn't able to hold it for long because Omos is huge. Omos backed Lashley into a corner and then started chopping him, which looked like not good chops. Then Lashley hit the spinebuster on Omos, but as he went for the spear, Lashley got kneed in the face and thrown into the turnbuckle. And as Lashley was in the turnbuckle, MVP came by and hit him with a cane while the referee's back was turned. Then Lashley kind of stumbled into Omos's arms with a double choke slam and got the pin, or whatever you want to call that move. Double-handed front-facing chokes. I don't know what the hell you call it. It's a terrible move. I wasn't excited. So Omos won. That's basically all you need to know. So now it's 1-1, I guess, from WrestleMania to that. Delisha?
I wasn't as excited for this match either, and it's nothing on Lashley. It's all on Almost for just how green he is, honestly. It doesn't take away the fact that he needs someone like MVP to be his mouthpiece because he's also not good on the mic. So it's just I was just flat out bored with this match, and I remember sitting with Joe. He thought this was maybe just 50-50 booking since he won this time, but I think in this case, the story is of the MVP effect of what he can do for his people to help him win or something like that. So I wasn't really mad about that. It's just the fact that as we've been saying with every time we see this guy in the ring, there's no improvement from when he started till now. And I was texting him last night, I really wish they didn't push MVP off of Lashley because Lashley's great in the ring, but he's not the best on the mic either. and I really wish that after Bobby beat him at WrestleMania, they joined forces as like, oh, like, I respect him, like, oh, cool, I really respect being in the ring with you, and have MVP manage them both.
Yeah, that would.
They kind of both need him.
Yeah, that would have been a great stable, like how we were talking about last night. But I feel like eventually this is going to end up at a match where it's like MVP on a pole match, and whoever can grab MVP first is going to be their manager or something like that.
I think this might be an MVP versus Lasso situation.
Yeah, but I don't know if MVP has what it takes to be in the ring anymore. I guess we'll see. Because when we've seen him in the ring, it's mostly tag matches, and he's been out of the ring for most of the match.
Yeah, I don't remember his last one-on-one match, although it might have been last year or sometime during the lockdown or the Thunderdome era, probably maybe. But I think he still had Lashley in his corner somewhere, so it was still almost like doing 2-on-1. It might have been against Drew, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, this was not interesting at all. But I don't think we have any much to say about this match after all. Anyway, and in true AfterMat fashion, the next match is also covered by me because when we pick our matches, we don't know what order they're coming out, and for some reason it wouldn't be AfterMat, and we got it away early this season. First episode of the season, all matches by me first, and then all matches by Felicia next. My final match being covered is also no pre-show, guys. That's what I was trying to mention that. My third and final match is also another WrestleMania rehash featuring the new Edge against AJ Styles, and this is the match I was looking forward to the most. The only one I really actually cared about, honestly, on the roster, on the card, I mean. And it didn't really disappoint because if you've been watching AfterMat ever since Edge made his new faction, we've been talking about possible people who could join the faction, and we'll get to that in a little while. We've had like Alicia love stories, and I think that this has been a great story. Except for the name of the faction being Judgment Day, I think Judgment would have been a better faction because Judgment Day was a former pay-per-view for them. I think Judgment would have been a better faction name, but anyway, maybe they'll take that. They've been cutting people's names left and right, and changing people's names left and right. So why not change the faction name, right? To Judgment instead of Judgment Day. But there's been great off-camera not off-camera, it can't be off-camera promo. Ring promos where behind the locker room where AJ's being interviewed, and then all of a sudden the lights go out and then Edge and Damian Priest are there, and it's really cool. And then Edge has been having great promos of him sitting in the chair like an evil leader, a mastermind, and I think that's really cool. So a lot of good psychological stuff going on with Edge, who's a master of ring psychology as well as promo psychology. So it's great seeing him being utilized in that fashion, and now bringing in some younger talent to help them develop their characters, kind of people who became stagnant, who were great, I guess, in NXT. Billy should probably know better than me, but now are kind of stagnant in the main roster, so maybe he can help elevate their characters as well as a push for them. Anyway, enough about the pre-match stuff. Let's get to the match. As soon as the match started, these two men have no love lost for each other, so they went after each other, repeatedly punching each other, and such like that. Styles then got a quick drop kick on Edge and sent him into the ring barricade, and then hit a moonsault onto him, a very pretty moonsault actually. And then they got back into the ring. Well, AJ rolled Edge back into the ring, went for the phenomenal forearm, but he was nursing or favoring his shoulder that he's injured since WrestleMania, prior to WrestleMania. So remember, AJ has a weak shoulder. That's the storyline. And so he's been really favoring it the entire match. And we saw that in Edge's moveset that he used, because right away, AJ couldn't get the propulsion onto the top rope for the phenomenal forearm, and Edge started slamming AJ's injured shoulder into the ring post and steel steps, and just started punching it and kicking the shoulder like the veteran ring general that he is. And AJ's no slouch in the ring either, and he sold it very well. At the same time, there's some times where AJ was able to muster up some strength and counter, but the biggest counter he probably had was a Pele kick eventually. But Edge had some good submissions on AJ, and they looked like he sold them really well from what I saw. They looked very well put on, and looked like they actually hurt. Whenever you see people in submissions, usually I'm like, how is that hurting? But the way Edge had those hammer locks and arm bars and all those kind of arm wrenches on, it really looked like it took a toll on AJ's shoulder. So kudos to them for actually making it look very real and good. Anyway, AJ was finally able to counter the Pele kick, and then he hit a face buster. And then he went for a Hurricanrana, but did not get the pin. They just started going back and forth. It was just a really good wrestled match, and like I said, Edge kept working on AJ's shoulder, and the entire time AJ was trying to muster up some strength to counter and come back and try to mount an offense, but he really couldn't get it going because of his shoulder. I think Edge went for a spear, but AJ was able to deliver it in a Styles Clash. AJ climbed to the outside to go for Final Forearm, but he couldn't get the momentum again to propel himself up. So instead, he's like, let me get to the top rope. So he climbed to the top rope, but then Damian Priest came out, which is kind of stupid because he wasn't. Apparently, I didn't know this, but he was barred from ringside. But like technically, he wasn't at ringside because he didn't cross the ringside threshold, which I thought was kind of stupid. So he was able to distract AJ because he was not at ringside, but at ringside. I don't know how to explain that. He's kind of like on the rampway. But before Priest could actually get involved, Finn Balor ran in, and then they both got into the ring and started fighting in the ring, and then back out. While the referee's trying to get Finn and Damian Priest out of the ring, AJ's still at the top, and Edge is kind of knocked out. A hooded figure comes out from underneath the ring, I guess, and throws AJ off the top rope. And then Edge is able to lock in the crossface with more arm torque and wrenching on the shoulder. And this knocked AJ out. It put him to sleep, and he got a submission victory from just without AJ even tapping out. He just passed out, which is good because it didn't make AJ look weak by tapping out, but would have made him look weak because this was a good match where like you wouldn't mind him tapping out because Edge worked on his shoulder the entire match. So that in that sense, he wouldn't look weak in that sense. But anyway, after the match, the hooded figure came and kneeled before Edge, and then took off the hood and ended up being the person we thought would be a good fit in the Judgment Day. It was Rhea Ripley. So Rhea Ripley is now evil, and with AJ Styles and Damian Priest in Judgment Day, and she's sporting a new look with darker hair and all dark makeup, which she's done before, but is more dark with her hair. Her hair is usually like auburnish brown. Now it's completely black, and now she's like the eventual nightmare, I guess, with this group. And we're happy to see. Now, I guess all we're missing is Tommaso Ciampa, I believe. And when I kick it over to Alicia, I'm going to ask who else she could fit into this group. But yeah, I think we said this a while back that she would probably make a good fit as well as Tommaso Ciampa. Well, I think we said either Liv Morgan or Rhea Ripley would be a good fit. And maybe even Alexa Bliss would have been good. But now we need to see who could be fighting them, right? Because we need a woman to fight Rhea Ripley, so maybe it'll be Liv Morgan again. We'll see. Probably Liv Morgan, but it's gonna suck because that means Liv Morgan's gonna have to lose again. And she's been losing since to Becky Lynch for the last 14 years, it seems. So I don't know. When is Liv Morgan gonna win? When is she gonna do anything? That's what I feel. So Delisha, your thoughts about this match? And I know you're a huge Rhea Ripley fan. How do you feel about that? And what else members can you see in the future in Judgment?
Yeah, I thought the match was great. I think it was a little bit slight improvement from their Mania match. And I really enjoy these two just going at it because they're just two great workers. And but also I thought the Damian Priest part was weird. Not him stopping before you get quote unquote ringside. I thought that was a pretty clever way to try to distract him or whatever. But as soon as Finn put him in the ring, he's technically ringside. So wouldn't that technically be against the rules or whatever? And wouldn't that be like a DQ or something? I don't know. But I guess it's because Finn.
To answer, there you go. Because in sports, if someone runs into the goalie on purpose, it's a penalty. But if someone pushes someone else into the goalie, then it's not a real penalty, depending on Anyway, but go ahead.
Okay, sure. But yeah, as soon as Rhea came out, I was like, I know those legs, I know those pants. It's definitely Rhea. And I do think she is the better fit from just character wise, over Liv. Because even though Liv does have that gothic ring gear, she is more still that bubbly root for me type of person. I'm not saying she couldn't pull it off. I do believe she could pull it off, but I do think Rhea was the better fit. Sometimes the obvious choice is the right choice. So I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with this stable. again, like you, I don't like the name Judgment Day. I do think maybe just Judgment, like you said, would be better. Because we do get flashbacks to the pay per view, which he's headlined a few of those Judgment Day pay per views, so it's like meta funny to me. As far and then I think sorry, point to Champa being the next fourth member. Thought, but actually when Finn came out, I turned to Joe. Was like, it would be interesting if it's actually Finn turning heel for I think the first time on the main roster and joining Edge, and we get that Balor as in like if you can't beat him, join him type of deal. I thought that would be an interesting twist if we're all thinking it's Ciampa, but Ciampa's like, no, I'm just a heel on my own accord, and it winds up being Finn. I don't know if they would do that because Finn is such a. I think he still moves a good bit of merch sales, but he's not doing anything, so why not?
I could see a tag match between the Bullet Club against Damian Priest and Edge, and then eventually have some woman get involved, maybe Liv Morgan. So it'll be a 2-on, I guess a 3-person intergender match, tag match, something like that, and then have that's when someone could turn heel, maybe AJ or something could turn heel. But I don't think they need someone like an AJ. They need someone that I feel like Edge is enough to headline that. Like someone like Finn Balor or AJ would be awesome in that stable, but they're not needed in that stable. Edge is enough. I think they need young talent that are developing in that stable. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa is great on his own, but him, like, I don't know. I feel like as long as they don't ruin him like they did Pete Dunne, I think any of these people can be great in Edge stable because I love my stables. Like, I'm still hoping for my Indian stable. I'm hoping for the MVP stable that you and I talked about on the text last night. That would be cool as well. But I don't know. I mean, I think it should just be all younger talent. Maybe that guy Veer Mahan might join if they're going like with an evil thing. I don't even know if Veer Mahan is a heel or a face. I think he's a heel because he still continues to beat people down after the bell. And
he's being presented as a heel, but I think people are still just in awe of him right now. Kind of like that big man who can move effect that people are like, even though they're going to be presented as heel, people are like, oh, I appreciate him. I'm going to cheer him or boo him, but still appreciate what he's doing.
There hasn't been like an Indian face since the Punjabi Playboy when Great Khali became a face. All right. Well, anything else about like what you want to say about this match or the future of that faction or anything?
I see Rhea as a heel again. She did that very well back in NXT UK, in my opinion. So to have her flex those chops as a more seasoned wrestler or part of the WJB talent, it's gonna be cool to see. If hopefully they don't drop the ball.
That's what I was just about to say that too. I like as much as I love stables and stuff like that. I love Edge and the Brood and all that kind of stuff. And I'm excited that like what we said about Rhea Ripley joining this would be good, and maybe possibly Tommaso Ciampa. But it's what they do with it, right? We can be excited as we want, but if the more excited we get and nothing happens or something goes wrong, the more disappointed we get, right? So let's hope for
gives her probably a better chance of going up against Bianca because she'll be a heel now.
Yeah.
So they get that heel babyface dynamic.
And I hope they dominate their brand, kind of how like the Usos and Bloodline and Roman Reigns dominated SmackDown for a while.
Yeah.
That would be cool to see. Because
again, it's good to see a woman in a mixed faction because I don't know why. For the longest, NXT and others not only on like Raw and SmackDown, they're just like, nope, if it's gonna be a faction, it's gonna be all females. But even though they haven't done that in a while since the whole like women's revolution thing, or you're just gonna have all males and that's it. I like, it's a mix,
yeah.
And I like diverse factions with people from different backgrounds or different genders just coming together for a singular purpose.
Right.
I like the world, so it's fun. It's fun.
And we might see a women's revolution, maybe not in wrestling soon. Who knows? We'll see. All right. Our next match is now another match from WrestleMania, and I think our final match from WrestleMania Rehash, featuring the SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair against Ronda Rousey in an I Quit match. I have stuff to say, but I'm going to wait for Alicia to go over the match and give her take because I have stuff to say.
The only match on the card for Backlash and it was an I Quit match between Ronda and Charlotte. Mainly because Ronda didn't want Charlotte to try to get through with shenanigans again, and they've both been trying to out submission each other. So they're just on the biggest way possible, and an I Quit match was the way they went about going it. It started out well, Ronda ducking the big boot by Charlotte, and then just going off for an all out brawl right from the get go. Uh, and then even though they were both being known for submissions, they tried to actually make each other quit in different ways before they really got into the submitting part. Where there'd be, I think Charlotte threw her into the barricade, and right away the ref was like, "Do you quit?" And I was like, "Come on, sir, read the room. She's getting right back up. Why are you asking her if she quits?" So like those were kind of, well, the ref he's mainly doing that to Ronda. Um, like very quickly asking her if she was ready to quit or for like a basic like bump that she's used to taking either in WWE or in UFC. And then since this is the I Quit match, there's no rules, no DQs. You can pretty much go anywhere. Um, so Flair, while she looked like she was fleeing the ring to go backstage, she actually was grabbing two kendo sticks. But it wasn't good enough to outdo Ronda, who had a kendo stick of her own. She just kind of grabbed the kendo sticks and I think she suplexed her onto the ring ramp. Uh, and then they will continue their fight up and through the crowd with her trying with I believe it was Charlotte trying to submit her through the not the guardrail stairway rail. Is that what you call them? I don't know what they're called. The things in the middle of the steps. Stair rails. I don't know.
The banister. I don't know.
Oh yeah. See, when you don't have to say words, those type of words often, you don't remember what their actual function are. We are trying to get her to say I quit that way, and then they would eventually move their way back into the ring. I don't remember how that happened. I just remember looking up and seeing Rousey having Charlotte on the turnbuckle in a sort of armbar. And I actually thought the match was going to end right there because it was kind of like the crescendo of the match coming to a head. But I don't know if Ronda got like tired out, like in the match way, not like actually tired out. Or if it just looked like Ronda got get tired out and just like, or it could have been because she was hanging up upside down. That effect. She had to quit on that. And then, but she would move her into the ring, and I believe she put Charlotte's arm through the chair. It was kind of hard to see from my vantage point. But I think it was like her arm, and then putting her in the arm bar, and finally getting Charlotte to legitimately say the words "I quit." So that was that for that match. I will say I was kind of shocked that on this one-on-one match they would let Charlotte be the one to say I quit. Overall, I do think this was a better match than their Mania match, probably because of stipulation. Ronda could be more of the brawler type than trying to be an in-ring competitor. So maybe I think that type of match kind of benefited her more. But still, I'm still not sold on Ronda Rousey as a professional wrestler. Even though I'm tired of Charlotte, at least just what she's been doing since she's been in her 20s. So she has the decade-long experience more than Ronda. But we've seen non-wrestling people like some of the celebrity matches between Pat McAfee, Bad Bunny. I'll even give it to Johnny Knoxville, even though there really wasn't a match. They at least because they are fans of the sport, they like really trained and tried. And like Ronda, it just seems like I don't want to compare her to almost. I think she has more athleticism than him, but from her start to now, there hasn't been much growth for her. It's kind of like she's at a cap, and I think honestly, I think it's her that's not pushing her forward. For me, I'm pretty sure the people who very appreciate what she's doing in the ring, but for me, my opinions, she's not doing it for me. So this match, I didn't care for whatsoever. And the fact that I think that Charlotte lost, I think I was saying in a group chat, if she doesn't come back this Friday or next Friday, she's taking some time off to do something, whether it's for her wedding or just to heal some things or just take a little bit of time away, which I think is a good thing because we've been saying since she's been champion, for the almost a year, that overexposure, like the people, uh, mostly on Twitter, because that's where we do a lot of our social media, are done with her. And like I said, it's not due to people not liking her athleticism. She's one of the greatest in the ring, in my opinion. But it's just that overexposure, that kind of John Cena, I don't like you just because they're forcing you on our screen type of effect, not because you're not good. So I am hoping this is the end for these two, and have Ronda go face someone else. Who that would be at this moment, I don't know because they haven't built anyone else up to do that for. But I guess that's what the rest of these pay per views are for, is to build someone else up. Hopefully, because you could never count Charlotte down. So we'll see. But well, I already know you filmed the match. But did you think this was a better match than their one at Mania? And are you hoping as well that this is the final one for at least this year between these two?
Okay, so there's a lot I have to say, but most of it's not on the match. Why? Because I did not watch this match. I had it on in the background, and I saw like stuff going on. Like I saw the kendo stick part, I saw the arm bar part, but I didn't see that match, and I just saw like Ronda getting the belt. So I saw like parts of the match. I just was not interested. I'm tired of Charlotte. I'm tired of Ronda. But there are things I have to agree and disagree with what you said. One of the things I disagree with what you say is that people like Bad Bunny and Knoxville and who else you mentioned? Oh, Pat McAfee did better because they're fans of the thing. That's true, but don't forget Ronda is a fan of wrestling. She is a fan of wrestling, so you can't say she's not a fan. I think she is a fan, but I do agree with what you said that she capped herself. You're right. When she first came, she had crazy takedowns and throws. And welcome, Entertained. How are you? Crazy throws and takedowns, and she was very impressive. But she hasn't improved, like you said. She has not improved or pushed herself. Now, is it because she was so good at that point? Like everyone loved what she was doing. That was great. Then she took time off for the baby and all that. And when she came back, she's made no progress in that time off. I agree. I think that's the case. She has not pushed herself to make improvements on her own character as well as her move. But I can't say that she's not a fan because I believe she is a fan of pro wrestling.
I didn't mean to say that she wasn't a fan. I'm sorry if it came off that way. I was just saying like we've seen these so-called celebrities who are doing one-off matches do a lot more, or maybe it's the bar was just lower with them, so it looked better. I don't know.
Well, but you also answer your own question. I think there, right there, you said one-off matches. Ronda's got to do this over and over and over and over and over kind of. So,
I think if she has the same effect that Brock Lesnar had for me, that until his latest run, he hasn't had a actual character, and I think if she can get that down and get her promo work a little bit better, or even if she just has the manager, she plays a better character, that might make up for her moves in the ring. Like I said, like phenomenal athlete, and like no one's gonna deny that. Like legit, like beast, no pun intended, in the ring. I do think if she did work on that character aspect better, I think she could probably get more people.
Well, this is the thing. Both Brock and Ronda never needed a character, right? Because from the world they came from, right? Brock being an amateur wrestler, and then I'll get to his WWE run or WWF run, whatever you want to call it. But let's talk about Rousey first. Rousey being a UFC fighter and then just coming to wrestling for a little bit. She never needed to have a character, right? She was always just an athlete, and that's what she shows in the ring. But like you said, she has no character. Brock, on the other hand, came from amateur wrestling and then had to develop a character, but never did because he was just a beast. He was just an incredible athlete, and that was his character, right? He never, ever really had a character other than being a beast, right? Until Paul Heyman kind of became the mouthpiece. And the only time I have to say, the only time we actually really saw Brock as a character is just now, Cabo Brock. That's the only time we've ever seen Brock as a character. That's just recently. And all the years he's been doing this, even with the time off. He's always just been an athlete freak of nature. That's his character. Same thing for Ronda Rousey. She never really needed a character. Now, we'll see her commitment to the business. Is she going to be committed to the business? Will she take the next step, develop her moveset, develop her character? We'll see that. And maybe while she's doing this, she'll get some words from people. I think she's got to make more friends in the business that she hangs out with. Someone like Natalia or someone who could develop her character. I know because she's close with Natty, but I don't think she's close with Charlotte. I don't think she's close to Becky. I don't think she's close to Bianca. She'll say hi to them backstage and all that, but I think she's closest to Natalia. And I feel like Natalia is always used to training all these younger female wrestlers. What?
Shayna Baszler.
Shayna Baszler too. Yeah, there you go. Shayna Baszler could also help her out. That's what I'm saying. Like it's on her. Like you're right. It's on her to make that progress. So that's for Ronda, and I don't think it's fair to compare it to people who have one-off matches because they have one moment to shine and that's at WrestleMania kind of thing, So that, they don't have to consistently do it. And like you're saying about Charlotte now, Charlotte, yeah, she's actually taking time off. They're writing her off by injury. I guess she got injured by that armbar or whatever it was. Because she's getting married to Andrade over the summer. No date has been announced, but they are getting. They had planned to get married this summer, so that's why she's taking time off.
So many wrestlers getting married this year.
I know.
I mean, congrats, but it's just like, oh man, I don't think we've ever had this many.
Maybe because a lot of them have been delayed, right, because of COVID. So now that the world's like, now that it's opening up and all that, that COVID numbers are going back up again. Unfortunately, I just got an email from my school about that. But yeah. So what I'm saying is like, so Charlotte now is going to be off TV. Thank God. Maybe this could be her leaving forever. Who knows? We don't know. I don't know what her contract is like or what it is. But maybe she'll just get frustrated with WWE because the way she lost her best friend, the way she acted, right? They really had a real life fight, not this fight, but a real life altercation with Becky Lynch, who's her best friend. Everyone knows that for the longest time. And to have that happen, like, you're doing something must be wrong. And I feel like this might be the end of her in WWE. I hope it is, because I'm kind of sick of her, like you were saying. She's got that Roman Reigns thing. Because her father's in the other, AEW, and Andrade's in AEW, maybe she'll be going there. Which I don't mind. I don't really watch that, so I don't have to see her ever again. That would be great. But
I doubt it, though. I doubt it.
I don't know what her contract is like, so we don't know. But anyway,
she loves it too much.
Loves what too much?
Yeah, she loves being a WWE talent too much. So.
Oh, WWE. You sure it's WWE talent or wrestling?
A little bit of both.
Because I can see her doing. I can see.
I don't know I don't know anything about what's going on with her behind the scenes. Could be, but. Also, I don't see WWE letting her go.
Also, when we were, I was on the PlayStation chat with Skye last night. As soon as Charlotte walked out, I'm like, oh, she's losing tonight. And he goes, why do you say that? I'm like, well, I see her face. She does not. She shows her emotions, and like she always has this swagger and happiness and like utter cockiness when she comes out. She did not have that last night when she came out to the ring. I knew she was going to lose. It was very reminiscent of Sasha and Bailey coming out at WrestleMania when they were losing those tag team titles to the Iconics, and that I saw them that unhappy, the same face. They can't hide their emotion, and I knew she was going to lose, just like I knew that they were going to lose that night too. Just the way she came out, because she has a different air to her, a different personality, and like the way she presents herself when she comes out, knowing that she's not going to lose. So I don't see her as a good fit in WWE because of the way. I mean, maybe she is because she's a business person in that sense, but I don't not to help. She's not a good team player, is what I want to say about her. And I don't see that as a good fit. It's a business of helping somebody. If you're going to be up, you're going to be up. But once it's your time for someone else to come up and you got to go down, you got to come down and help them. And, I feel like she just doesn't have that. And the only reason I should come back is to get that championship record from her father on the women's side. Well, she already has because she's got 2 NXT championships as well, right? So if they're gonna count the Divas championship, why not count the NXT championship? I don't know. It's just so stupid. I hope she doesn't ever come back, but that's just me. She is going away for her wedding. I don't know what else I can say about this match. I don't care. I hope it's over for them, both of them. Their feud is over. As for where it could go from here is, hey. Who Ronda beat for the first time she won the championship, and then she beat Alexa Bliss, didn't she? How about let Alexa Bliss come back and get another shot at that title and some revenge, even though she probably won't beat Ronda. But hey, let that happen because Alexa Bliss is doing absolutely nothing either on her honeymoon. So, I don't know. That's what I think for an opponent. I think we spent so much time on this match because I didn't want to watch this match. I was so glad you picked this match because I was like, oh god, if I had to cover Charlotte again, I'm gonna. Oh god. Do you have anything else to say about this, or can we move on? What?
For these two a while. Maybe working with someone else with Ronda can bring something out of her. So we'll see. You know me, I'm always willing to give people the benefit of the doubt and see. And there's always room for improvement. So I'm never going to be like, oh, Ronda's going to suck forever. She may and she may not. So I'm not excited about her run as a champion. But I want her to prove me wrong.
I think we both agree it's on her to make that effort to show with someone.
Is there someone? I know you don't really know the rosters all that well. But is there someone that you can think of from SmackDown that could be a next contender? I know Sasha is there, but I
Is Asuka there?
no, she's on Raw.
Well, then I don't.
We have I'm gonna try it off the top of my head from SmackDown. We have Naomi, Sasha, Shotzi's still there, Aaliyah, Raquel Gonzalez. That'd be an interesting match, and Raquel versus Ronda. I don't know if they'll do it justice because they want to make Ronda as strong as possible, but that could be a good like giant quote unquote person for her to go against. Cause I don't think. Oh no, she went against Nia, but Raquel has a little bit more talent. Anyway, so we have that might be it, and then we have Bailey at some point returning. She's still rehabbing, but she's on her way back for sure. Because she made a status yesterday or this morning about it's she's like guys, it's a process. So I do think she's still rehabbing her knee, but I do think it's that I think maybe by the end of the summer she may be back. So I think that might be it.
I could see her going against Raquel or Shayna maybe at SummerSlam.
Shayna and Nadia there too. Sorry.
Yeah, so I could see her going against Raquel at either SummerSlam or Royal Rumble, and then have her going against the other person. Wait, who did I say first? I said either Raquel to go against Ronda at WrestleMania. At SummerSlam or Rumble, and if it's not, or the other person will be Shayna at either SummerSlam or Rumble. So one of them fights her at SummerSlam, one of them fights her at Rumble. Like either or, and that's gonna happen. And then I can see.
You think those are gonna be the only 2 times she'll defend the belt?
No. I mean, those are 2 big names. I think she'll.
Oh, okay.
Like those because those are times that she could actually lose or potentially have a good match. I think everything else is gonna be like. I forgot that we're still in May though. I don't know. I feel like other people who will fight are like Natalya and Aaliyah and like others.
I think Lacey Evans is on SmackDown too.
Okay, and then Lacey Evans, yeah, that too. But I think maybe Bailey could make. I think they should hold Bailey off until her come back at Rumble, win the Rumble, and then face Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
Long time. At that point, she'll be gone for almost 2 years.
That makes the comeback even sweeter for her.
I mean, yeah, but like just from like the video she's been posting, it looked like she's kind of like well on her way to be on her way back. What have we got? We have Hell in a Cell and
maybe a Saudi pay-per-view. I don't know. They usually have one in the summer.
No, that's not until October, right?
Oh,
that's usually in fall, right?
I guess
because we just had one, didn't we?
Well, we had one because it replaced. They made Elimination Chamber a Saudi pay-per-view. Remember, they also have Crown Jewel and the other one. What's the other one called?
I don't watch them, so I can't even remember. Okay, so I don't remember what the July pay-per-view is, and then we have SummerSlam in August. We have that UK pay-per-view in September. So I don't. SummerSlam might be a time when she comes back. That's a big one of the big 4, or I think they have a big 5 now. That's one of the bigger. And we're harping on this too long. We'll wait. We can contemplate this another time. Because we do have 2 more matches.
The next match is Happy Corbin against Madcap.
I think it's a testament that we didn't even really want to get to this match as a recap as to what we feel about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin. I believe this is probably the culmination of their feud. Of course, of Happy Corbin turning on Madcap out of basically jealousy of him getting the Andre trophy and also the adulation from fans. So we started off with them trying to go back and forth, strength for strength with each other, with Moss doing some like leapfrogs and hip tosses on Corbin, and then Corbin responding with the choke slam, and then pummeling him into like the barricade, and I driven into the corners, and flipping Moss into his back and to give him a senton. And then as usual with these matches, there's always going back and forth. He would give Corbin a spear into the corner, and then do I think it's called a fall away slam. And then Corbin would take over, punching him and trying to like bad mouthing him in the ring. Oh, sorry, that was gonna sneeze. But eventually, Moss would get his offense back, and he tried to go for a top rope move, but he missed, and then ran into the deep six. But as usual, that only got a 2 count because he never wins with the deep six. It's just that's just the law in wrestling. For Corbin, he doesn't win with the deep six. And then Moss took advantage of that because I believe Corbin was getting like quote unquote like anger or emotional of not being able to get the job done. He dodged a clothesline and landed a sunset flip to get the pinfall and beating Corbin. I guess it was a fine match. Nothing like terrible. Nothing like great about it. It was just like I think we've said these a couple times about some of these like middle of the road feuds and matches. Could have happened on SmackDown, but like it is what it is. It was fine. I didn't mind it either way because I didn't care. Once again, but yeah, it was fine. And I know you don't really care about this match, or these two, feud in general. But were you able to watch the match? You
Yeah,
think
yeah.
they did a good job?
It was actually a good match. For I expected it to be a good match because Baron Corbin is great in the ring, especially if you don't like him. Don't like him. The way they've been treating him, I guess. I know that Baron Corbin is great backstage, and he's very conscious about keeping the wrestlers safe. So I like that about Corbin, and he's always a consummate professional, which I enjoy about Corbin as well. I wish they would do more with his character. He might have a title run in the future eventually, I hope, but they gotta get rid of this happy Corbin, the sad Corbin. They just gotta make him like the badass Corbin that he was that won the money. Was it the Money in the Bank that he won? That's what they need him to have, and they end up losing it to like Edge or whoever stole it from him somehow. Or I think he ended up losing. He got rolled up or whatever it was. But anyway, that's the Corbin we need, but like that badass Corbin, not this happy Corbin, not the sad Corbin. We need him to be badass Corbin. I do love I think he has the two best moves in the business at the moment with the deep six and end of days. They look awesome. So I love seeing that. But I hope this ends the feud, and I hope Baron Corbin takes off and changes his gimmick or something like that because he was so much cooler before. Madcap Moss, cool. And I don't have much to say about him. Skullet Corbin, yeah, with his hair like that, right? Yeah, that's what I missed too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The next match was a 6-man tag team match featuring like every single belt you can possibly think of, which had no significance in the match. Team 1 was Drew McIntyre along with the Raw Men's Tag Team Champions, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, Team Bro, against the undisputed, what are they even calling you nowadays, Roman Reigns, WWE Universal Champion, I don't know what they call him when you have both belts, Roman Reigns, and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos, forming together as the Bloodline. And I don't really Alicia.
Yeah, I'm definitely referring to my notes on this one because big match. In case you didn't know, this initially was supposed to just be the Usos versus RK Bro to unify the tag team titles. I don't know 100% why they decided to renege on that because I thought that was going to be a very interesting, story beat because Roman unified those titles and we're going to unify these titles. So I guess maybe they're just delaying that for maybe a bigger pay per view, or they just changed their mind on whether or not they want to unify those titles entirely. I don't know. I don't really listen to the rumor mills because sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, and I don't like being. I don't know. I just don't really buy into a lot of those stuff anyway. But Riddle, off the bat, kind of took control of the match over Jimmy. I made a point to try to keep track of who was who. We'll see how this goes as my notes went going. And then pretty much kind of like the way it goes with these matches. Riddle usually starts honestly as I noticed these matches. But he would tag in McIntyre, who gave Jimmy a suplex, and then called for him to like go ahead and tag Roman Reigns because that's what he really wants. And then Heyman, um, from the sidelines was saying, Reigns has nothing to prove, yada yada yada, and but he did get tagged in, and then the fans cheer, and then he immediately tagged himself back out to Jay, getting booed from the crowd. heel move, as don't give the crowd what they want. And then he only to the advice from Heyman tag himself back in once um they had Riddle on the outs. And then he would go ahead and start beating down Riddle. Again, another beat in this arcade bro match style. Riddle gets the beat down, and then I believe I don't remember, I don't know what the move is called. Um but Riddle would go ahead after dodging the splash from Jimmy. Almost tagged his partner, but Jay intercepted by blindsiding Riddle and then Orton to knock him off the apron, and then give him a kick to Riddle. That sorry, then there was he would get the kick from Riddle to get the hot tag to McIntyre, and then Reigns after Reigns had tagged himself in prior to that happening, I guess try to beat down Riddle more, but I guess he didn't realize Riddle would get the hot tag, and then of course great acting for him, like a look of concern on his face once he came face to face with McIntyre, who he's kind of been ducking, and I think he's got Claymored twice in the last 2 weeks, so that's very concerning for our tribal chief. But they will go exchanging blows one on one, and then they will toss Reigns into the ring with a neck breaker on both McIntyre and Jimmy, but a distraction from Jay would create opening for Reigns to land the Superman punch, and then he will go on to get the offense onto McIntyre. Of course, with a sound of boos from the crowd. Now they're at a fever pitch when they Orton to get tagged in, because at this point he has not been in the match. But a cheap shot to Riddle just to antagonize Orton, because that's Orton's best friend. He doesn't want to see him get beaten up. But that would leave McIntyre open to get the Claymore kick. And then the audience was like, "Hey, he's down," tagging Orton, hot tag, and then he gave both the Usos power slams, and then also the rope assisted DDTs. I don't know if that has a name to it. Do you know?
Suspended DDT or hanging DDT?
Oh, okay. No, I don't know if they had like a name specifically.
Oh, no. Maybe it's called Judgment Day.
And then he would also get an RKO onto Reigns, but also I guess Jimmy recovered so quickly that he got a super kick. But he would snap back from that and give him the RKO, and then also set up Jay for Claymore from McIntyre. But Usos were able to counter that and give a double super kick instead. And then we have Riddle and Jay getting taken to the match, to where again after he has some rest on the ringside, he's getting his strength back and with suplexes and sentons, and then keeping Reigns and Jimmy back on apron with some knee kicks. And then we got, now I guess this is vintage for Riddle now, the floating I think they called it like the floating bro instead of like an RKO, but because it's Riddle, for a near fall for Jay. But Jay would give him a neck breaker, and then Orton would break up the pin, but Reigns would come in and hit Orton with the Superman punch. And then McIntyre tried to take Reigns out, but a distraction from Jimmy, because whenever those are involved, they're going to get distractions left and right. But that allowed McIntyre to be put through the table, and then Riddle dove on to Reigns and Jimmy, who are now on the outside, so that keeps them occupied. And then landed a top rope RKO at this point. But Reigns managed to blind tag him while he was still like off to the side, and to give him the spear. I don't know why I was about to say the Superman punch, but no, it was a spear to get the 1, 2, 3. And Bloodline still, you can't even say retained because there's nothing on the line here, but I guess pride. They retained their pride in this match between RK Bro and McIntyre. I mean, all in all, it was a fine match. I don't know if it was technically like pay-per-view really, because again, there were no stakes whatsoever. That's why I was actually kind of surprised that the Bloodline won because I figured maybe they would lose. That would get Roman hyped up, and we continue these two feuds on the next pay per view. But they kind of won almost kind of cleanly. I mean, not too many shenanigans going on, just like your run of the mill distractions of tag team matches. But I'm pretty sure, no doubt about it, Drew was still in that title match picture because he didn't get pinned at all. The face Reigns, I guess maybe at Hell in a Cell, and I don't know what's going on with the tag team titles if they're just staying away from the unification part for now, because I think the Street Profits has a tag team championship match against RK Bro tonight. So I don't. So at the moment, they're not unifying any more titles. Overall, the match was fine. Did you think this was worthy of being on the main event of the pay per view?
So,
did you enjoy the match at all?
Yeah.
And do you want this to continue?
So I'm glad you asked that. Some of the facts you put in there are fantastic because I want to say this. You're right. This is the match that you would see on the final Raw or SmackDown prior to a pay per view. You have every person in the match that's gonna be like showcased at the pay per view. Correct? Like this is the match you'd see, right? It'd be a 3-on-3. So like let's say the pay per view WrestleMania Backlash should have featured Drew versus Roman in a singles match, and then the Usos versus RK Bro in a tag team match, right? So you'd see these 6 men go at it at the final Raw or SmackDown prior to the pay per view, and that's what this match should have been. You're right. I think what happened is they're trying to protect Roman at the moment because he's coming off an injury at WrestleMania, right? So they don't want to. I know he's been doing whatever we call untelevised house shows, right? But who knows at what speed he's going at? I don't watch those house shows. Who knows how much he's healed and all that? So to protect him on actual television, especially a pay-per-view, premium live event, they want to keep it in a tag team match. So I think that's the reason why this match is the way it is at the premium live event. I think that's my reasoning for it. And like you said, he came into the ring and they got immediately tagged out and stuff like that. He picked his spots, if you want to call it that way, and that protected his injury and giving him time to recuperate and still getting the draw of the crowd because he's there. Right? They didn't make Drew look weak because this could be a future storyline, so that's fine. The Usos and Team RK Bro, I don't know what's going on there, like you said, with the unifications and Street Profits getting involved. I wouldn't mind a 3-way tag team triple threat match for them at the Hell in a Cell, because that'd be even cool. As long as it's inside Hell in a Cell, and then they can do like cool things off the top of the cage and all the cell, I should say, and all that kind of stuff. That'd be cool. Anyway, that's the reasoning I see behind like I said, this should have been the final match of Raw or SmackDown, not a pay per view. But I gave you my reasons why this match happened the way it did when it. Usos and Bloodline, Roman Reigns and Usos, the Bloodline together collaboratively, great as always. They did what they did. Drew still looks strong. Orton's just having a good time out there, right? He's having fun, and he's showing up in spots of the matches when he needs to, and just enjoying the crowd and enjoying the moment. It's kind of like it's his farewell tour, it seems like, but he's still only 18 years old, so he's got another 80 years left in the WWE. So we'll see how long he stays for. And then we have Bianca Belair, right? So Bianca Belair, I've never been a fan of his, and I say Bianca Belair because remember, I never really liked Bianca Belair. I couldn't care less about Bianca Belair, just like I couldn't care less about Matt Riddle. But they're starting to grow on me. Bianca Belair grew on me because I saw her athleticism and I saw her work ethic in the ring, and she just won me over, right? Does she have the stupidest gimmick? No. Second stupidest gimmick? Yes, the hair. Who has the stupidest gimmick? Bianca Belair number 2 in the ring right now. Matt Riddle. Do I care about Matt Riddle? No. Will I ever care about Riddle? Possibly. But he's growing on me because his work ethic and his ring moves, everything he does in the ring is crazy. It's awesome. Just like Bianca Belair won me over with a ring work, Matt Riddle's winning me over with the ring work. But the gimmicks, I can't get past the gimmick. I hate Bianca Belair's gimmick. I hate Matt Riddle's gimmick. These two should get married in real life. Even though they're both, Matt Riddle's recently divorced, I believe. But Bianca Belair, we know, is happily married. But anyway, they should get married in real life because they both have the worst gimmicks on either side of the men and women, but they're great in the ring. So that's what I got to say about that. But yeah, the match was alright. It was cool. Like I said, did we lose Alicia? We lost Alicia. This could have been a SmackDown or a Raw match. And that's about it. Like that's how I feel. Like it just doesn't seem like it should have been a main event of a pay-per-view. I'd rather have seen Edge and AJ Styles main event the pay-per-view because that would have been so much better. You back, Alicia?
Am I?
Yeah. Oh, just sort of crashed. I could hear you. But yeah, I just said like this. Like I said, I reiterated that this should have been like a final Raw or SmackDown pay-per-view, final Raw or SmackDown match prior to the premium live event. That's all I have to say about that. But like I said, the Bloodline did their thing. Orton's just having fun. Drew, he's lining up her thing, and Bianca Belair is growing on me again. That's it. Yeah. So, and you want to say anything else before, or we go move on to our finisher?
Agree. This could have been a match on SmackDown or Raw, whichever one they wanted to put it on. But like it is, like I said, match is fine in and of itself. It just didn't seem, main event of pay-per-view worthy with there being no stakes.
Correct. All right. We're gonna move to our finishers. Before I go to deletions, I know Slater in the chat who joined us for WrestleMania. Not for WrestleMania. Sorry, for the AfterMat Awards. He said he thought it was a decent pay-per-view. He loved Charlotte being Ronda being stiff with Charlotte, so he thought that was an A+, and overall B- for him. Alicia, what are your low points, your high points, overall grade?
Low, just for the sheer boredom of it, it's probably gonna be the Almost and Bobby Lashley match. High point, I think I'll give it to the AJ Edge match. Because I just love the progression of the story, and they just put on a really good match. Overall, I think this one is going to land in the maybe B- C+ range because it's pretty much everything I expected it to be for this pay-per-view. Even though, like, I know last year was a surprise, and then this year, giving the match card, you're like, I kind of know what to expect because most of them were all matches that we've seen before, so the threshold wasn't that high. So, yeah, I think, like I said, B- C+ range. Not terrible, but not great.
All right. For me, the low point, obviously, I would have to say also was probably the Omos, Bobby Lashley. Nothing to take away from Bobby Lashley. I'm tired of Omos. Like, you think MVP can make him better? It's not really helping. It's in-ring presentation and work like that. He needs to pull Bianca Belair for me. Otherwise, I'm gonna get tired of it. A high point is also the Edge and AJ because I love those two. So I told you that's the only match I was really excited for, and it just delivered for me. So that was great. For the grade, let me explain how I graded this. Last year's Backlash was great. So, didn't have as many recap matches. This one, 4 of the 6 matches were recap matches or regurgitated matches. Right? They might have changed the stipulations and such, whatever. Great, but when you're only gonna have so few matches, on the card, you should probably have them be spectacular, right? Even without having a pre-show, you should probably have spectacular matches. I could say half of these matches, one being the main event itself, did not deserve a spot on the card, right? They could have been regular matches on Raw or SmackDown. Those matches being Bobby Lashley versus Amos, Madcap versus Happy Corbin, and the main event. Those 3 matches could have easily been a Raw or SmackDown match. Forgive me if they're all from Raw or all from SmackDown. I never know who's on what. It's a superstar shakeup for me 365 days of the year. So I never know what's on what. But anyway, so 4 matches are recap. 3 of those matches could have just been on a regular televised weekly event. So that really took a lot from me. Now, as for the other 3 matches that deserve to be on the pay-per-view, Cody and Seth delivered. Edge and AJ delivered. I didn't watch Ronda and Charlotte because it wasn't. I just not interested. I wasn't interested anymore. I used to love Ronda. I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of it. So maybe, Delisha said it was a better match than it was at WrestleMania. So taking all that into account, I'm going to have to give this like a D. A D minus. It was not good. But now, we were talking about how great the pay-per-views or premium live events have been up until WrestleMania. Now we're starting at a low point. But what we can only go up from here, I hope. Unless Hell in a Cell ends up really being hell in a cell. That could be pretty bad. But like I I really think it'll only be up from here. Yeah, so I said that earlier. Slater saying, "What if Liv joined Finn and AJ in the Balor, Finn and AJ in the Bullet Club?" I was saying that earlier. That's what we can see happen. And then Tommaso Ciampa joining the Judgment. We'll call him Judgment. Joining Judgment and tipping the scale. So, but yeah, this is not a very good pay-per-view. So I'm hoping it gets better from here. It can only go up, I hope, from here. And Hell in a Cell is usually a good pay-per-view, so we'll see. So with that said, we're going to go over to Delisha. Delisha, what have you been up to? Where can we find you? I know we have our newest stable member in the frame, sort of, kind of, was on the show a little bit today. And I believe your most recent YouTube video featured.
I've been trying to get back into trying to get videos out. Right now, it's like just because of sheer exhaustion, I can only get them maybe like once a month until she's a little bit older, a little bit more independent now. But yes, my last video on Delisha Renee TV was all about Rose's birth story and how that came to be, as it was a crazy couple of days because she did not come during the time we expected. But if anyone who has children know that that's not always the case. But yeah, but you can also find me on, like I said, on YouTube and also on Instagram at Delisha Renee TV, and where I do share a little bit more of my personal life on like my stories, stuff like that. Just because they're easier to do than a full on YouTube video. And I'm starting to get into like Instagram Reels, trying to figure that out. And so once I do, I can share more of that. In the meantime, while I'm trying to do, my YouTube stuff as well. And yeah, right now she's kind of knocked out, so I don't. Yeah, see, I'm here sleeping. Uh, but yeah, it's been interesting. A couple of months being a mom, and much more appreciation for my own mom now that I'm a mom myself. Not that I didn't appreciate her before. It's just like amplified for the things she had to do. And I'm actually pretty excited as our next review is not like my top favorites, but it's like that next tier down of hair pay-per-view. So I'm pretty keen to see what the storylines will be by the time we get to that point.
Right, so just in time for Mother's Day, check out her mother's video, her mother to be video, her mothering. I don't know what you call that for Mother's Day. So make sure you check that out. Happy Mother's Day again to you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your rights while you still have them, because eventually we're gonna start moving. We're moving our show to Saudi Arabia soon, just so let's just say she might eventually have more rights there than she does. But anyway, as for me, I'm not doing any gaming as of now. I don't think there's any game right now that I want to stream. The next one coming out, I believe, would be God of War. I don't know if I'll stream that because last time people tried spoiling it for me. So we'll see. And I really want to play it because if I do stream a game, I'll only be playing it on stream for you guys. So I kind of really want to. Welcome, Skye. How are you? I kind of want to, enjoy it. So if I do stream God of War, I'd only be playing it on stream, and that would take away from me playing it. So we'll see. But we'll still be doing AfterMat, and the next time will be seeing us here on AfterMat is after Hell in a Cell. Do I gotta change that graphic to say? I want to keep it as pay-per-view. I don't want to write out premium live events every time. So just gonna leave it as pay-per-view. And that's gonna be the pay-per-view itself. Hell in a Cell is on June 5th, so you'll see us on June 6th, hopefully, because I have surgery that day. So hopefully I will still be available for that. If not, I'll keep you updated. I'll let Delisha know. Maybe Delisha can tweet it out or something. See what happens. But thank you guys again for joining us. Great 5 years, and now kicking off our 6th year here on AfterMat. And as always, keep slamming the haters and be the champion of your dreams. We'll see you next time.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun.